When I figured it out, and I figured it out pretty quickly, I wanted to break your jaw. Let you choke on your teeth. But I didn't.
I'm Enigma and I'm a qualified body language analyst and private investigator, and today I'm going to be reacting to this tense scene from season 2 of The Walking Dead, where Rick confronts Shane about sleeping with Laurie.
I want to talk. Been waiting a week till we were gonna do this. I just want to talk. We need to. We do. Oh man, we don't. We're doing this. I get it. He's passed out when y'all brought him back. Don't know where the farm is. That isn't what I need to talk to you about.
So both Rick and Shane are expressing what's called distancing behaviors here when they start talking. We do these behaviors in order to distract our brains from a stressor. Rick knows this conversation is going to get heated, and Shane also suspects the same. And when Rick realizes that Shane doesn't know what the conversation's about, he distances again and then does a hand clasp over his crotch area. This is a self-soothing behavior that activates the brain's amygdala-driven threat response, triggering the sympathetic nervous system to engage a protective and self-soothing posture.
I heard what really happened at the school. Was it to survive? Yeah. One of us wasn't gonna make it out. Had to be him. One shot to the leg. Carl lives.
Shane distances when Rick says he knows what happened at the school, before expressing significant amounts of mouth tension. He's displaying signs of strong sympathetic arousal here, showing that the revelation deeply affects him. He's also rapidly distancing from Rick for the exact same reason. He knows what he did makes him look extremely bad, and that emotional arousal turns into the physiological arousal we see here.
Reality is, he had no business being here. There. Whatever.
So Shane does something super interesting here. He initially talks about the event in the present tense, only to then correct himself. This aligns with flashback language in PTSD. The memory of what happened is extremely traumatic, which results in the brain being unable to correctly store and contextualize the memory. It's called hippocampal dysfunction. His prefrontal cortex is blurring the past and present, which actually triggers his defense mechanism, as he still thinks that he's there. It's a fascinating detail. It shows clearly that Shane is a deeply emotional character, as he feels bad about what happened.
You don't think I would have done it? Oh man, I know you wouldn't have. You don't think I can keep Laurie or Carl safe? I didn't say that. Or my baby. Is it gonna have to be me too? Rick, you can't just be the good guy and expect to live, okay? Not anymore. I'm not the good guy anymore. To save Carl's life, I would have done anything. Anything. Now, Laurie says you're dangerous, but you're not gonna be dangerous.
So Rick expresses subtle but noticeable mouth and vocal tension when saying that Shane thinks he couldn't keep his family safe. Rick is consciously restraining his nonverbals here in an attempt to communicate clearly, but this is where he slips up. The muscle tension in his throat causes his voice to become strained to a point where it becomes audible, showing that he's extremely angry here. And when Rick says that Laurie thinks he's dangerous, Shane immediately distances, again as he feels an elevated level of sympathetic arousal.
Not to us, not to me, not anymore. How about you look at me? You and Laurie. I get what happened. When I figured it out, and I figured it out pretty quickly, I wanted to break your jaw. Let you choke on your teeth. But I didn't. That wasn't weakness. It took everything. That is my wife. That is my son. That is my unborn child. I will stay alive to keep them alive.
Shane experiences what's called the Globus response here, when Rick tells him that Laurie is his wife. This response is generated as a result of the muscle tension in the throat generating a strong urge to swallow, which we see here. Rick is asserting his dominance over Shane, and he experiences increased sympathetic activation. Shane is intimidated by Rick. He can't stop distancing to protect himself, which Rick actually comments on here. Shane looks away to protect himself, whilst also signaling that he is being submissive to Rick.
You don't love her. You think you do, but you don't. Now, the only way you and me keep on is that you accept everything I just said right here, right now, and we move forward with that understanding.
So the amount of distancing going on here is insane. Like before, Shane is extremely intimidated by Rick and distances to calm himself down, as well as expresses multiple pieces of muscle tension. Rick also distances when he realizes that Shane isn't responding to him, as he's becoming frustrated.
It was just a couple weird stories on the news. And it was so quick. Everything, it just happened. 2 weeks later, I'm in the hospital, and there were soldiers shooting people in the halls. They were shooting people, man, not walkers. Then the walkers came through. You know, I tried to get you out. I tried, but we weren't gonna make it. Man, there was no way, and I knew it.
So Shane expresses rapid head movement here when saying what happened at the hospital. This is a strong sign that his defense mechanism has been triggered. When the sympathetic nervous system gets activated, we automatically increase environmental monitoring to assess potential threats. Shane's reaction here shows that he still holds deep trauma from what happened.
But I couldn't live with it. I couldn't live knowing. But I had to. I didn't keep Laurie and Carl alive, man. They kept me alive. I want you to know that I didn't look at her before that. Brother, if I could take it all back, I would. I want to check the ropes.
So when hearing that Shane never looked at Laurie before the apocalypse, he expresses muscle tension around his mouth before doing an extremely subtle head nod. This isn't a non-verbal cue directed at Shane, it's an internalized regulatory gesture that shows that he genuinely accepts what Shane says. He then redirects the conversation in an attempt to move past the emotional load of the topic. Overall, this is such a detailed scene, and both actors do an extremely good job at expressing the subtle but important non-verbals. It's a really good scene.